Hi, Shelly.
Hi.
Okay, hold on.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
Hi.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I'm feeling better. Thank you. I am.
Who's gonna call
I
you?
just, oh, yes. Well,
I'm glad
I
that you're
would like,
okay. I asked the rabbi, and she told me she spoke to you.
uh, yes, she did. But, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the thought. Yeah, it's been
Hi,
a
Alan.
strange time. It's been a
Shabbat
strange
Shalom.
time.
Shabbat shalom. Shelly, so do you need anything?
No, I'm good. Allison is very attentive, and my friends are very attentive. So it's it's fine. Thank
It's
you.
nice.
Yes, I feel really fortunate.
We missed you. We missed you. I was asking Rabbi, did you
Eh,
see Shelly at the Torah study? And she said no. So,
No, yeah, but I'm gonna try and be there. I don't have my computer, and in my apartment, it's very frustrating. So the only way that I really feel comfortable is being on the my iPhone. So
uh-huh.
I I said this is going to be the year of listening, not talking for me.
You know what? You can reach out to Alan Goldenberg, and maybe we can get you from Temple something.
Yeah, I understand. I have the computer from Temple, but
Okay.
it's my apartment that's not working. The Wi-Fi is we can't figure it out. I've got to call Frontier and see what is going on because they say that it should work. I've got all the numbers and words, but it doesn't. It just doesn't work. So
Mm.
that's the frustrating part. I don't know. It's all a mystery. I guess I'm just supposed to listen this year.
Right. Yeah. Maybe Allison can figure it out for you. The iPad or something or Wi-Fi in your home because we're gonna be on Zoom. I don't know until June probably.
Yeah. Well, it's
um.
okay. It's
Well, you
okay.
have TV, right? TV is working from cable.
Yes, that's the weird part. The TV is working, but I can't get. I have a Google, one of those things that plays me. I ask it to play music, and that's not working right. So, probably should ask a Frontier person to come to my apartment and try and figure it out.
Yes,
But I have,
definitely. I mean, you paying for the service. You should call whoever is our Spectrum, and yours is
yeah,
Frontier.
a Frontier. Yeah, I um yes, I left Spectrum quite a while ago,
Yeah,
um, and I'm beginning to wonder why. But that's okay. It's
yeah,
it's
but
less.
yeah, call the Frontier so they can configure it out your iPad so Wi-Fi so we can
Yeah,
see you. Yeah, you should call them.
yeah. Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know if you need help because Lindsay Hagan is very good with technology. She can help you out.
Yes. Well,
Lindsay Hagan. If you call the
yes.
office, or I can give you her number.
Okay. Thank
Hello,
you.
everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
How are
morning.
you? Shelly, if you have a pencil near, I can give you Lindsay Hagan telephone number.
Yeah. Just a second. Let me get it.
Okay. Hi, Marsha. Hi, Diane.
Hi,
Hi.
Cantor. Hi, Diane. Hi,
Hi.
Ralph.
Okay.
So it's 585
Yes.
755
755
18
18
Yes, 3
Yes,
4. 3 4.
34. Yeah,
So
seven
call,
five five 1834.
yes. Okay. Sorry to
Okay,
do
do
it
I
on
have to?
Shabbat. Sorry to do it on Shabbat, but this is a holy task because we're trying to get Shelly on a platform so she can see us and we can see her.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
yeah,
Lindsay.
maybe after Shabbat you can call her and she can walk you through
Sure.
or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Of course.
Hello, everyone.
This is Shelly Krasov on the phone. So
Shabbat shalom.
Alan, you good? You have your shirt? You got in? Yay. Hi Raf. You muted. Muted. You guys muted.
I may not be able to stay the whole time, but I wanted it to come as long as I could stay.
Oh,
No, I'm
great.
Say
not.
hello to everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Alan. I don't know if we've met. Hello. And hi, Diane. I remember you.
Hi, Ralph.
Lona and I live in
Yes.
Maryland now, so we're visiting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's
Shella,
good
you
to
still
have
there?
you. It's good to have you with
Thank
us.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
I got her a Valentine gift.
See Deborah. Hi Deborah.
Hope that everybody's able
We're
to get their
getting it.
vaccination. It's been hard here in Maryland. There haven't been enough vaccinations. So, but,
Ah,
I hear that in Rochester area, it's a little easier.
I
Not
think it's
very
easy.
easy, not
No?
very easy.
Not very easy.
Mhm.
Yeah, my husband is a teacher in college, professor, and I can register him.
Mm.
Even Syracuse, it's all booked. People from Rochester drive to Syracuse.
Mm.
I have one suggestion about that for the vaccination hotline where they're registering for the Dome Arena and for Syracuse, et cetera.
Yeah.
If instead of going on the online, call the number that's there. And the people who answer are very helpful. And even though a particular date says it's booked, they have a list of cancellations. So if
Yes.
you call the phone number and they say, well, how can I help you? I said, I've been running around, not running around. I've been trying to get an appointment and I can't.
Jesus.
They say, where do you live? What's
Mhm.
your zip code? It's the Dome Arena that's closest for you. Unfortunately, there are no openings.
Right.
And then they say, hold on, and I'll look for a cancellation. And they come back. And sometimes you get lucky.
Yes, yes. But it's very interesting that the clergy have no category. Clergy and um nowhere, and
Yeah.
the teachers maybe. But yeah. Hi Marilyn.
Hi. Oh, good morning.
Good
Shabbat
morning.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Hi
I have to
Jackie.
start, they're starting the morning service. Can I call you after? I'll call you after the service, okay?
Okay, so it's 10:32.
Yeah, okay, I'll call you later, okay?
So we're going to mute. If you could mute yourself.
Okay, let me just say hi to everybody else. Hi, Marcia. Hi, Marilyn.
This is Raf.
Yeah, yes. We know each other from years ago.
Okay.
Hi, Jackie. Okay. I'm gonna have to be leaving soon, so I'm gonna close my video.
Okay, so it looks like everybody is muted.
We're not muted. I'm not muted yet.
Okay, let's make sure that everyone is muted so there is no feedback. Well, Shabbat Shalom. It's so good to have all of you this morning. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath and exhale. And one more time. And exhale. Let's start with singing Matobu, a beautiful prayer of praising God and praising the tents of Jacob. How wonderful the tents, and also open up our eyes and look in the world with different eyes. I know it's not easy, but we have to try. Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Israel, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Israel, Vani berov chesdecha, avovitecha, eshtahavin chal godshecha, beiratecha, matovu, matovu, alecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Israel, Adonai ahavti, me'on beitecha, u'mekom mishkan kevodecha, mishkan kevodecha, v'ani eshtachaveh v'echra, evrecha lifnei Adonai, osi, matovu, matovu, alecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel, vani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chasdecha, Elohim berov chasdecha, Haneni be'emet ishecha, matovu, matovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel, mishkenotecha Israel. We continue with this beautiful reading. I would like to involve people and read so we can hear other voices except just hearing mine all the time. Diane, you're next to my square. Would you like to read this?
Sure. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you.
Thank you. And Marilyn, would you like to?
Baruch atah Adonai rofecha basar umafli la'asot. We praise you, Holy One, for wondrous acts of creation and healing.
Thank you. We join together in singing Elohai Neshama, a prayer about soul that God gave us, and that we have to be thankful every morning when we take a breath. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, with Psalm 150. It's very interesting that Psalm 150, right? This is one of the Psalm of David, has the whole list of instruments, list of different instruments that were played in the temple period, in the first temple. And as you know, that after the destruction of the first temple, it was forbidden to play instruments. So this is the instruments that were played in the first temple. It's about 70 BCE. So it's just fascinating that we are now here singing about those instruments. So please join me with the Psalm 150. Interesting. If you look in this psalm, I'm sure you recognize the word shofar, right? So shofar, and then benevel vechinor. Benevel is it's like a violin in this time. So it's a string instrument. And chinor, also kind of a string instrument. Kinor in Hebrew, kinor means violin. So kinor was more closely looking at like a violin. And then betov is the drum. Mahol is another kind of drum. Beminim like a cymbals. And ve'ugav, I'm not sure, but it's similar to some percussion instrument. So just wanted to give you a little bit explanation. So Jackie, would you like to read this?
Praised are you, sovereign of wonders, crowned in adoration, delighted in song, eternal majesty.
Thank you. Yitkaral v'yitkadash shmei rabba, belmadi berachirotei be'emlich malchuti, b'chayechanu v'yamechan, ufhayedecho bet Israel, bagala, uvizman kariv, ve'imeru, amen. Yesh me rabba mevorach, ulal me almaya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitrama v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, shmei d'kodesha, brichu, leila min kol birchata b'shirata, תושבחת ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen. If you're able, please rise for Baruch Hu and join me. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Marsha, would you like to read?
Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir v'nikeh chulanu mehera l'oro. May you shine a new light on Zion, and may we soon be privileged to share in that light. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hama'arot. Our praise to you, Adonai, creator of the cosmic lights.
Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai haboher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Our praise to you, Adonai. You have singled your people, Israel, with love. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. And please be seated. And together. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך, בכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשובך ובקומך וקשרתם להות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Please join me with singing Michamocha, this prayer about miracles. And invite you to keep your eyes open always for miracles that surround us every day. We might not notice them, but if we look very careful, we may notice the miracles of each day. Ya bye bye bim bim bam, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye bye bim bim bam, ya bye bye bim bam. Ay 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 ay, ya bye bye bim bam. Ay 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 ay, ya bye bye bim bam. Mi kamocha bali masone, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, norati lot hostefele, norati lot hostefele, shira chadasha shibhu geulim, l'shimcha l'shimcha hasapat hayam, yachat kulam chodu v'chimlichu, ve'ameru ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, ya bye bye bim bim bam, ya bye bye bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya bye bye bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya bye bye bim bam. Tzur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, ufedehinu mecha, Yehuda be'Yisrael, Gohalein Adonai Tzebaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. I invite you to stand if you're able. and join me in tefillah, which is a main part of our service, a central part of our prayer. Adonai sefat tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Haggadah, Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imachot, Me'Bigila Livnei B'nechem Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Chaser u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham v'Ezrat Sarah, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לישני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. So before we recite Kiddusha, I just want to point out the tefillah, right, tefillah that we're reciting now is one of the most ancient prayers. As I mentioned before, Psalm 150, which was a list of the instruments that were played in the temple, first temple. And after the first temple was destroyed and the second temple was rebuilt and then destroyed, the sacrifices and instruments were forbidden as a sign of mourning. So our prayers became a substitution for making sacrifice. So tefillah was the first prayer that was it was like a piyut, paitanim, the poets were making up prayers, so they made this prayer, and piyutim, poems, it was a poem that people pray in the synagogue. So tefillah was the first prayer that entered our siddur, our prayer book. So just fascinating that right now we're reciting the prayer that dates to the second temple, and so just amazing. And the prayers were not notated at first because they were too holy, and they're still holy to notate. And the first prayer book was composed in about 3rd and 4th century this era CE. So, and tefillah is one of the central parts of our siddur and one of the ancient. So thank you for listening. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ כבודו, אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוני נמדיר שמך בארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, אחד אלוהינו, אבינו מלכנו, ומשיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, אלוהים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחו אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. And please be seated. We continue with the singing of V'shamru. Actually, the prayer V'shamru comes from the Torah. It's very interesting that our prayer book, our Siddur, is a combination of poems and also parts that come from the Torah, from the 5 books of Moses. So let's join together. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ויום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Also in this prayer, very interesting, if you look at the line in English, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line in English or Hebrew, the word ot. Ot in Hebrew means sign, and it's actually a very important word. And it's you can see it in the Torah scroll many times. Ot means sign, that refers that this is a sign. Shabbat is a sign of a covenant between Israelites and God. So ot, it's a very short, a small word, but it's a very important word, sign. It's a sign, it's a covenant. That Shabbat is the sign of the covenant between God and Israelites. So when you sing V'shamru, you can just keep that in mind. Marilyn, would you like to read this, please?
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
Thank you. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai hamachazir shechinato leTzion. Blessed are you whose divine presence is felt again in Zion. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha lechana ele hodod. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. We continue with Sim Shalom, our prayer for peace. And please sing with me. Sim Shalom, Tova ubracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yisrael amecha. ברכנו יצרנו כולנו כאחד, באור פניך, כי באור פניך נתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו.
שים שלום.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה, הן וחסד ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך, תורת חיים ואחוות חסד ואחוות חסד, וצדקה וברכה ורחמים וחיים בשלום.
שים שלום.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך.
שים שלום.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך. Well, thank you, John, for your echoes. Always looking forward to that. We're ready to take just a few moments for silent prayer and reflection. Just sit back, reflect on the week that passed by, and to look forward to good news for next week. We continue with our prayers for healing. And in this moment, the Shabbat, we pray for people who are in need of healing, healing of body and healing of spirit. This morning, we pray for Shana Esther Bat Ruchel, Chaya Necha Bat Riva Leah, Simon Breitman, Katriel Perachia Ben Herschel, Lazar Shoshana, Sally Graf, Sarah Bat Abraham Sarah, William Fawcett, Alan Skirker, Laura Braun, Barbara DeCarrier, Miriam Bat Ella, Stephen Brandt, Rini Feingold, Mergis Cabanis Adder, Reverend Gordon Webster, Mary Pikunka, Irving Manis, Raf Bookbinder, Anna Markovich, Masha Batsheva, Christine Young. If anybody would like to add the names that you pray for people, who are in need of healing, healing of body, and healing of spirit, this is the time to say it out loud.
Mark Friedman, Elizabeth Friedman.
Moshe Abraham ben Mariam, Milk Glendy, Enoch Gershon ben Sima, Chaisar ben Hannah, Harry ben Vivian, Alice ben Amber, Tracy Glazer.
We take all the names to our hearts. We pray for the speedy recovery of body and spirit. And we say together, Amen. And we join together in singing of Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekorech habracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekorech habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We continue with our Torah study and discussion and Torah reading. Just in a few seconds, we'll hear Marie Pellet chanting from Torah. This is a member of our Torah chanting club, and we have some members this morning. She will be chanting from Parsha Mishpatim. This is the group that meets every Sunday, and we learn how to chant from Torah, the Ta'amei Mikra, the Trop. So I'm very proud of all my students, and they're making such a great progress. So before Marie chants, we'll recite the blessing together. So you can unmute yourself, and we can hear each other reciting the brachot. Baruch hu et Adonai havarach. Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Just make sure we mute back.
Okay,
Yes.
we're ready. All right, here we go. Ba'ele hamishpatim asher tasim lifnehem ki tikne eved ivri rishanim ya'avod uvashvit yetze lahofshi chinam im bagapo yavo bagapo yetze im ba'al isha vayatza ishto imo.
Excellent. So we'll recite together the prayer after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam natan betoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. We say Yashar Koach. Yashar Koach means, Yashar means, straight, and Koach means good, strength, like straight. It's hard to translate sometimes Hebrew into English, but it means good job, Yashar Koach. So we'll continue with the Torah study. Thank you, Marie. It was wonderful. Many more. So Torah portion Mishpatim, Marie just chanted beautifully. And would somebody read the summary, please? of the Torah. Anybody would like to read? There are no funny words, I promise.
Okay, I can do it.
Okay.
Parashat Mishpatim presents the Mishpatim rules or laws that govern the ancient Jewish community. The code of law deals with the treatment of slaves, crimes of murder and kidnapping, personal injuries, damages through neglect or theft, offenses against others through lying, witchcraft, idolatry, oppression, unfair business practices, and unjust treatment by judges. This Torah portion also includes a warning against following others to do evil, along with directives to care for the distressed animals of your enemy and to show impartiality in making judgments. Israelites are reminded to demonstrate sensitivity to the stranger because they were strangers in the land of Egypt. Finally, the portion presents rules for the Sabbath, sabbatical year, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Upon hearing all these laws, Moses gathers the people at Mount Sinai to offer sacrifices and declares, all the things that God has commanded, we will do.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much. So in this parsha, there are two themes. The first one is ethical and ritual mitzvot, right? The commandments. And the second one is caring for the stranger. And in Hebrew, the word is stranger, ger. And it repeated many times throughout the Torah and few times throughout this parsha. And we'll talk about it, why Torah paid such an amazing and attention to the ger, to the stranger. In fact, it mentioned 36 times the entire Torah, more than other mitzvot, to care about the stranger. So we'll read a little bit of the text. And I think it's big enough. So anybody would like just to read English, no Hebrew. I put Hebrew just for reference. Anybody would like to read English? Translations of the Exodus 22. Anybody? John, thank you.
You shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall not ill-treat any widow or orphan. If you do mistreat them, I will heed their outcry as soon as they cry out to me. My anger shall blaze forth, and I will put you to the sword, and your own wives shall become widows, and your children orphans.
Okay, and then it's not consecutive, so there is another mention of gerim, ger. If you could continue, please.
You shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the feelings of the stranger, having yourselves been strangers in the land of Egypt.
Okay, so I just put it for your references. Thank you, John. Ger is found 36 times, 36 places in the Torah, more than other commandments. So here's some questions for you to consider and discuss. Why all these warnings, right? And why all this attention to ger, the stranger? And what does it mean to be a stranger? And number 3 is, what have strangers and converts have in common? Because in Hebrew, both are called gerim. It's very interesting that ger, also gerut, means a conversion, a convert. So it's interesting that the word ger in Hebrew means both stranger and converts. So here are some questions to consider. I'm going to stop the share. If you want me to repeat the questions. First of all, what stranger, what does it mean to be a stranger, right? And why is this attention in the Torah and warnings against the stranger? And what stranger and converts have in common? And it's except just the one meaning, the same meaning or in concept. So any comments? This is interactive part of a service. So what does it mean to be a stranger? Let's just start with that.
You could be a stranger in the sense that you're not familiar with the traditions of a new place, you know, and it takes time to get used to that. Things just feel strange in general.
So if you like a new in a community, right? You could consider to be a stranger. It doesn't matter if you're Jew or not Jew, right? Okay. Um, what other? Just to Jackie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. To me, it means to accept people for who they are and not draw distinctions, and honor, even if their ways are not your ways, but to respect. And I think that's prevalent in the Torah. And the fact that it's mentioned like 36 times, it shows its prevalence.
Right. So it shows that if people are different, right? We should still respect them. But also
Exactly.
So also very interesting I don't know if you paid attention to bring back the text that it's saying that the orphans and widows also you shall not ill-treat any widow or orphan. Why is it in the same category with strangers? Is it? What do you think, Diane?
Oh,
So you're unmuted. I thought you were gonna say something.
I just unmuted in general for this
Sorry,
discussion.
no obligation to speak.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you put in the same category the orphan and the widow of the stranger? I mean,
Maybe the orphan and the widow had no other guarantees of safety other than this particular declaration. So the stranger may not have been under the laws of the land, and the widows and the orphans, being women and children, also may not have had these protections without the presence of the man or the husband.
yeah, very good, very good. Any other comments? So also, like, what is this all reminding about? That because we were strangers of, in the land of Israel, in the land of Egypt. So you shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So what is this all about?
I'm just not sure in terms of history how much time, and that's a very hard question to answer, has elapsed between the exile in Egypt and this Torah portion. I mean, if you're supposed to remember something, how long ago was it? And I think it's very hard. As one of the things I find hard about Jewish literacy is where are the historical boundaries?
Right. You're exactly right, Diane. It's like we're supposed to remember how we felt in Egypt as strangers. So now we have to be sensitive to anybody strange in the community. We can look at that way, or we can use it as an analogy, right? Analogy, like, for example, in your life, right? Have you been somewhere a stranger in the community where you didn't know anybody? Right? Marie, yes. Raf, yes. Anybody
What
wants to
I,
say?
yeah, what I was thinking is picking up on what you just said, Cantor, that you should put yourself in somebody else's shoes and realize that you've probably had some similar experience, although the specifics might be very different.
Correct. Marie, you have experience?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I've been really lucky to be able to travel and sort of spend a lot of time in some other cultures. And yeah, those first few months were pretty rough. There were somewhat language barriers, there were cultural barriers that I didn't understand, so I had to.
Right.
Well, they say when in Rome, you know what I mean? And some of that is getting over your own preconceptions from your own culture about how things should work. When you're in the minority and you go, oh, wait a minute, I have to follow their rules.
Right.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And very often we are forced to be strangers, right? Like look at all the immigrants, right? Even like I mean, I hate to give my example, but when I was in Ukraine, I was as a Jew, I was a stranger there, right? I was not accepted there. And when we came here, we were forced to come here as Jewish refugees. Believe me, the first 5 years were hell, okay? Because of the language barrier and different culture, like Marie said, and but it was, we kind of were forced to leave Ukraine and come here. So we were strangers there, and we were strangers here for a little bit. And I hope now I'm not a stranger, right? So, and I'm sure many of you have an example where it was your choice to be a stranger, or where you forced to be a stranger when you move to get a new job, right? Or anything, or just getting a new job, you're a stranger in your new job. And a Jewish tradition, that's the most important mitzvah of welcoming a stranger. I think it goes for me. I don't know how you feel, but for me, the welcoming the stranger and hospitality, it goes, in the same hand to hand, right? That's why the hospitality in Jewish tradition is like top mitzvah, right? Did you see the movie Ushpizin? Anybody saw the movie Ushpizin? It's actually on Amazon. It talks about welcoming the stranger during Sukkot. That is very high mitzvah, and the woman actually could not have a baby for many years. And because she welcomed those strangers who were like criminals, she got pregnant after that. So in Judaism, welcoming a stranger is a huge mitzvah. So I want to show you a very interesting passage that, just looks differently. So can somebody read this, please? Concern for the convert. Marie?
I'll read it because I'm one. Um, concern for the convert. Should a convert come to study Torah, one may not say to him or her, how can one who has eaten forbidden foods have the presumption to study God's Torah? Those who bring others near to Judaism by warmly welcoming them as converts are considered by God as if they had given birth to them.
Wow, this is so appropriate. You just chanted from Torah this morning, right?
Right?
And nobody said to you that you cannot chant the Torah, right? So that's great. We have a wonderful community.
That's right. I'm in the right place. That's good.
Wonderful. So great. So here's the Nahama Leibovich. She's a kind of a more modern commentator, and she has a different view. So I want to see what you think about it. Can somebody read it? Marilyn, thank you.
On abuse and oppression, enlarging upon her observation, Leibowitz writes, the fact that you were strangers in the land of Egypt is certainly no adequate motivation for not oppressing or troubling the stranger. On the contrary, how often do we find that the slave or exile who gains power and freedom, or anyone who harbors the memory of suffering to himself or his family, finds compensation for his former sufferings by giving free rein to his tyrannical instincts when he has the opportunity to seize power over others.
So this is a different perspective. What are your thoughts? What is she saying?
Perhaps that what has once been done to you, you feel freedom to do to somebody else, and you're not particularly taking the high road in this struggle, but rather you feel empowered to lash out. I don't know how true it is or what she's talking about, but we could find examples of both perspectives, I think, in our lives and in the news and so forth.
Right. Its power gives you, freedom, and then sometimes it's very dangerous. Also, what she's saying, that people, let's say, who went through, difficult situations, they not often develop that sensitivity for others. That they feel, okay, you struggle, and now I struggle, and now you're gonna struggle. Sometimes it happens, like parents of immigrants who say, you know what, I came here with $1 and I struggle. Now you have to struggle, something like that, or even go further, like abuse in the family, right? And sometimes it just unfortunately, it could be from generation to generation, or any other abuse, alcohol and drugs, and it's very hard to break that pattern and that cycle. So this is, of course, interpretation on this verse, the stranger, but you can take it or leave it. But this is what our rabbis and modern commentators saying. So here's the question that I was talking about, that do memories of the past, especially of painful past, teach us to be sensitive to the feelings of others? Can those who recall being abused or oppressed prevent themselves from abusing or oppressing others? Right? So this is all questionable, right? And how do you break that cycle? Like, how do you break the cycle of that when you get into bad habit, doing doing the things that your parents did and your grandparents did? How do you break that cycle?
Maybe with support and love from someone else who enters the scene.
Yes,
Right.
very good, Diane.
And well,
Marie?
and you have to be able to recognize that you're doing the thing,
Right.
right? But I mean, there's so many times where a lot of the stuff that we do is so automatic. So just building an awareness that we're doing what we don't want to do.
Right, through education, right? And through kind of forcing people to realize what will happen after, right? To break up the consequences of what's happening afterwards, that what they're doing to their children, grandchildren. So anybody else have any comments or experience about stranger, anything? Welcoming stranger, anything? Being a stranger? There is the expression, right? Don't be a stranger, right? What does it mean? Diane, you're muted. You're muted, Diane.
In one of the earliest texts that we read today, well, let me skip that. I'm just going to say maybe there's a fear that we can become strangers again. And I think that might be a Jewish element, like, don't count your chickens before they're hatched, or this could happen again. So be on the good side. I think there's a certain insecurity that we grow up with. Maybe I'm just speaking of my total exposure to people and relatives. And I mean, look how often today we still have to call out anti-Semitism. When will it ever end?
Right.
So I think there's a fear there. Better treat the stranger well. You could be in that same position at some point.
Wow, interesting. Raf, thank you, Diane.
Yeah, it occurs to me that although ger certainly does not mean fellow Israelites in the Bible, in the modern day, Jews can be strangers to each other. A Reform Jew can be made to feel uncomfortable in an Orthodox shul, for example, and maybe vice versa. I mean, certainly traditional Jews have experienced feeling very strange walking into a Reform temple. I remember the day of my bar mitzvah, my grandfather and one of his brothers walked into this is a very famous Reform temple in Boston, Temple Israel, heard the organ doing a prelude, and one of them said to the other, it's like a church. And I was very offended by this. I mean, I loved my grandfather greatly, and Uncle Joe was good too, normally. But that to me was just they were trying to make me feel as if what we were doing was inauthentic, and suddenly as if we were strangers to the Jewish people. And the truth, of course, was that they were feeling as strangers in a reform context. So there's a whole I don't know what you call it. It's all relative. What's the
Right.
norm and what's the exception, so on. And if we could all keep reminding ourselves that we are potentially strangers all the time too, so we don't become smug with whatever privilege we do have.
Yeah, thank you, Raf. Yes, Temple Israel of Boston. It's an old congregation. What you're describing, it's pure classical reform temple where you have an organ and a choir and a rabbi, and usually rabbis spoke even German. They gave sermons in German. Okay, they had union prayer book that will just like this thin. Okay, and the prayers gradually came back, and now our prayer book is Mishkan Tefillah and a little thicker. The prayers came back and were restored, but yeah, that was the norm of those days. People felt comfortable because they left Germany and they wanted to have sermons in German. And even go further, some of them had services on Sundays. Talk about church, right? Some of them had services on Sunday, Shabbat service on Sunday, like Catholic churches, right? So yeah, that's classical reform that little by little evolved and changed. Well, this is a very good discussion. Um, Anybody else would want to add something about being a stranger? So just to put it out there, we live in diaspora, right? Diaspora, we're outside the land of Israel. Like Diane just mentioned that we can't stop anti-Semitism, and I feel that maybe we're strangers in the land here too. Like if Jews live outside Israel, I think that we're still strangers until we're in Israel. I don't know. This is just my take. Um, what do you think? I mean, we're very comfortable in America, thank God, but people who live, Jews like in Europe, right, France and Ukraine and diaspora, other countries, they may feel more like strangers than we do. We have religious freedom, thank God, and that we can practice Judaism. Some Jews still cannot. So do you still feel that we are strangers here in the land of America? I don't know, maybe it's a very private question.
I think that between diaspora Jews and Israeli Jews, of which there are many, many stripes in terms of religiosity, et cetera, I think we can feel in some ways strangers from our Israeli cousins.
Right. And also, I don't know if you agree with me, it depends where you live in America, right? Like if like we lived in Baltimore, like this is like a Jerusalem. So many Orthodox Jew, the supermarket all kosher, like so Jewish. My kids went to school, they're in public school, they had like 24 kids Jewish in the classroom. So we come here in Pittsburgh, Daniel is only one Jew in class, and Jonathan only one Jew in class. So they were like taken back, and I think they felt like strangers. Not only because they were new in the community, but also as Jews, because they used to be in so many Jews surrounded by so many kids who are Jewish and they shared the same values. And here they would take a bus to school and they would ask the kids, "Do you celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas?" to find out who is Jewish. And I said, you know what, you have to stop asking that because this is a different area, and you just have to get used to it. So I think it also depends on where you are geographically in America. Brooklyn, right? Borough Park, or or Pittsburgh is different, right? Araf?
Yeah, well, I certainly remember when we were living in Rochester and I was teaching that I was careful and selective about to whom I would mention that I was Jewish. I would generally not do it to an entire classroom.
Wow.
And the same thing, professionally. I didn't want to be labeled and kind of held responsible for the settler movement in Israel. I didn't necessarily want to get into arguments about that and so on. So I was very, very careful.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm appalled. As a Russian Soviet Jew, I'm appalled that, because, America is a promised land, it's religious freedom. Because that's what we did in Ukraine. We wouldn't say that we're Jewish. We were trying to hide. Wow. Anybody else? Yeah, I noticed also that people here who are Jews, they don't put mezuzahs on their houses. I was also very surprised. That's the first thing I did. I put a mezuzah when we moved, and then some people later on I found out that they're Jewish, but they don't have mezuzah, so there is no way to tell that they're Jewish.
We have
Is it-
mezuzahs.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
maybe I should move to your neighborhood. Maybe I should move to your
Some people
neighborhood.
don't even know what it is. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, they don't even. Yeah. My neighborhood is pretty Jewish, so it's
So maybe that's why.
well, right. I mean, where I live, I see every Shabbat Orthodox people walking to shul. So
So there is no fear to put mezuzah
no,
here.
not at all. Whereas if I lived in Webster where I grew up, yeah, I would probably think twice about that.
Wow.
Yeah, probably would.
I'm so appalled. Wow. So it's a wonderful discussion we have this morning. Anybody else has any comments? We can continue with Aleinu. Anybody else wants to share a stranger experience? Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. It means a lot to me and very educational for all of us, for the group. So we continue with Aleinu prayer. Aleinu is a messianic prayer, right? That we talk about Bayom Hahu, right? On that day. So which day? The day that Messiah will come. And what Messiah means in Judaism, it's that when all the Jews start, observing Shabbat, or all Jews live in Israel, so yeah, praying for a miracle, right? So please join me with Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשה נגעי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפט האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו כעול המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר וחי אדוני למלך כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. So that's the paragraph I was referring to. Bayom hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shmo echad. On that day means when the Messiah will come, the eternal shall be one and God's name shall be one. So on this Shabbat, our thoughts turn to those who life was taken in recent days and those who died in this season in years past. And our hearts are open as well to the widest circle of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Zichrona livracha, may the memories be a blessing. On this Shabbat, we remember those who died in our community in recent days. Ernie Zlochever, cousin of Alec Krieger, Bev Groden, wife of Marvin Groden, Rose DeJulia, mother of Linda Kirschhen. We observe in the Yortzeit this morning, the Shabbat, Shirley Apter, Henry Burns, Mildred Block, Ruth Boyum, Mark Cohn, Anthony Cross, Ed Doscher, Joseph Gimbel, Dina Gurvich, Robert Harner, Tina Hellerman, Leo Hoffman, Bruce Holm, Ted Holmes, Ida Holmes, Misha Koretsky, Beverly Kaufman, Ira Coleman, Leonard Kosov, Sidney Kotner, Marian Loeb, Kathleen Molzer, Helen Prox, Sarah Ring, Anita Rosenfeld, Arthur Simon, Annette Solomon, Ann Wilson Stanger, Max Stein, Rosalind Santop, Morton Weiner, Lucille Weinstein, Frida Rose. Does anybody would like to add a name in the avocados list? Zichrona Livracha, may the memory be a blessing for all of us. We take the names to heart as we remember them, and we recite the Kaddish Yatom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabba, Be'alma divra chirotei ve'amlich malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala v'zman kariv, v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei dekutsha brichu, Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushpechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say Amen. And please be seated. I put a new picture of Jerusalem. It just looks so inclusive. You could see all the religions in one picture. Any announcements this morning before I... there is a long list of announcements. I will try to trim it because we have all the information on the website. Tomorrow, no religious school. Next Friday, we are, before we get to Friday, Tuesday, February 16th, Racism, Health, Disparity Series. The guest speaker is Sharita Bullock at 7 p.m. And next Friday, we continue to observe the Jewish Disability Awareness Month. We have a speaker from Rochester Community Family Services, Sasha Di Maria. Next Sunday, there is no Hebrew school, still a break. The first Purim event is February 22nd. I will be teaching adult education class. Step into Shushan Town, a true Purim story. I hope you can attend. It's February 22nd, Monday at 7 p.m. All the information on our website. February 25th is a big day. It's Purim. Everybody is looking forward, I know, to the Disney Megillah. It's going to be so much fun, and I'm going to say you're going to laugh and laugh and laugh. So at 5:15 we have Make and Shake. It's a craft to make and shake, right? Something make and shake. It's craft for all ages, so bring your grandparents, right, and adults. Then we'll have very short Megillah reading, and then Purim Spiel at 6 p.m. Purim Spiel Megillah, Disney Megillah that was pre-recorded, and it's going to be so much fun. So February 26th, we continue to observe Jewish Disability Awareness Month, and Joel Shamaskin and Tori Madway will be our speakers. And all other announcements you can find on our website. And thank you again to Marie for beautiful chanting. And thank you to all of you for discussion this morning. We'll say the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. And we'll say Hamotzi Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. We'll conclude with Odia Bo Shalom Aleinu. Just use, if you know the movements, do the movements. Odia Bo Shalom Aleinu. Odia Bo Shalom Aleinu. Odia Bo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Odia Bo Shalom Aleinu. Odia Bo Shalom Aleinu. Odia Bo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, 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 Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam. Well, Shabbat Shalom. You can unmute yourself to say hello.
Great
Shabbat
job,
shalom,
Marie.
everybody.
Yep.
Have a
Shabbat
good day.
Shalom.
Good to see everybody. Thanks,
Shabbat
Dr.
Shalom,
Ron.
everybody.
Thanks, Dr.
Marie,
Ron. Thank you,
fabulous.
everybody.
Bye, Marilyn.
Hi, Ralph. Marie, Mazel Tov. Good job.
Yes, Yasher
Oh,
Koach.
thank
That was
you.
great.
Yes,
Marie.
Yashikoa.
Oh, Marie.
Hi,
Good job,
Martha.
Marie.
Hi, Jackie.
All right.
Ralph, it's so good to see you again. It's like,
All
you know, like
right.
old
Yes,
times.
it is
the Temple
wonderful to
Sinai.
I
see you,
know.
Ralph.
I don't feel like a stranger right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you shouldn't. You shouldn't ever.
Good.
Thanks. I hope everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Marie.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Shalom,
Have
everybody.
a good day.
Stay well.
Thanks, Cantor Brown. That was wonderful. Yeah,
Thank you,
really
Ralph. Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice
This
to
is the
meet
first
too.
time I
See
met you.
again. Okay.
Looking
Bye-bye.
forward
I
to,
look forward to it. Yes.
to study with you and pray with you.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. We on Saturday morning we're often doing stuff at our own temple through Zoom.
Mhm.
So, you know, I feel like I have to, they're small, so it really helps for us to be present there. And so they count on us, you know, but then
course.
sometimes we sneak away to go back to Rochester, at least by Zoom.
I know, it's hard. How long do you live in Maryland?
We moved here in 2016, so it's almost 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to come back once a year, but then COVID hit. So
Yeah, what was
sometime
the
we'll be able to
reason?
get back. Yeah.
What was the reason you moved to Maryland?
Our daughters are here and our granddaughters.
Of course, yeah, makes sense.
And in fact, it's really good we moved, because if we'd been in Rochester now, we wouldn't be seeing them at all.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course. Yeah, it's a great area.
Right, it is. It is.
Great. So enjoy your family.
So, right, thanks.
Stay
Oh.
safe. Arlene and Jerry, how are you guys? You muted. You guys muted.
Pretty good. How are you?
Okay. You guys know each other, Ralph? You know Jerry?
We actually used to see you guys at the
JCC.
and at the services
Right,
for the kind of snack before whatever it was called.
right. How are you? Where are you living in Maryland?
We live near DC, actually, a town called Clarksburg, but it's north of Germantown and Gaithersburg.
Right.
You know, it's in the same rough area as Rockville and Bethesda and so on.
We have a
Our
lot of
families in Green Spring and
Yeah,
Fairfax.
Green Spring and
Fairfax.
Fairfax.
Yeah, we have friends in Fairfax. I go there to
Right.
visit, or I used to go there to visit, you know. Now we're
Right.
just in our apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my sister and brother-in-law moved to Green Springs about 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Something like that.
It's a senior community and it's wonderful. They love it there.
Oh,
And,
that's good to
we-
hear.
And you-
Right, my niece and family they live there and they work for the government. So we're there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful
We
place.
may eventually need to, you know, move to a senior community that has more facilities. We're just in a regular apartment right now.
Ah,
But, you know,
right.
but we can still walk and drive and all of that. So
Oh, they do too.
We're in
Yeah.
the same position as you are.
Yeah. Yeah, but they have complete freedom. They have their own apartment there, everything else. It's just a lot of extras, as far as facilities if you want them, that type of thing. It's a beautiful community. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's about 1,800 people. there.
About 1,800 people live there.
Wow. I'm glad to hear about that. So that's another possibility for us.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely worth looking into. They have so much as far as education, the arts, things going on. Then if you do need help, it's there for you if you want it.
Right.
It's got
Right.
both ends, and the people that are there, most